Hola amigos and welcome back to the greatest story never told. If you haven't seen it, watch the mini episode I just did before, which will catch you up on some of the stuff that's going on. But jumping back into the summary, last time our wonderful party of neutrals met Commander Atasi when he came to visit the Dead Witch. He explained that there was a problem they needed her assistance with, which she can't leave Hoskoth, so that she can't actually go to Prudence, the country next door, and check the problem. But Torrent, since they offered a way to communicate, Torrent now has a small little round glass mirror-like thing that will allow them to communicate. And the party made its way back into Hogard and stopped at the tavern for a short while to help Brutus. And then that's when he revealed that he was the informant in Hogard that works for the Order of the Silver Pinnacle, and the White Tiefling Valko returned, and he talked about assisting them in the matter, because he was actually quite curious as to what was going on. So the group ventured across the border, and Morin became immediately amused with a small child who ran up and was very happy to meet a dragon for the first time ever. And the little girl Amethystine turned out to be Commander Tossi's daughter. And so the party was moved to the fort in Temperance, and they had begun and they joined Commander Tossi and the lieutenant in his office, where they were getting ready to explain what was going on, when Valko assumed he knew what he was talking about as the Black Crescent. So that's where we stopped. We are not sure if we're going to have Morton, Sean, today. So I'm going to reiterate that a little bit, and instead of joining everyone in the room with the discussion, he's just off playing with the kid for the time being. A dilemma came up, so we'll see if he joins us a little bit later on. Otherwise, whatever. You know, everyone's got their own personal biz. All right, roll call. Torrent.
Here.
Holly.
Here.
Bargram.
What's up?
Wolfric.
I was muted. I'm here.
And Subgod is here. Let's do this.
We all literally would not be here if you were not here, Subgod. I think you're kind of implied.
I'm kind of implied, but I want to be included.
Okay, just so everyone listening is completely and fully aware, Subgod is here.
Thank you.
Like, I'm looking at her, but we don't share video on this, so you can't see her.
Okay. Don't be weird. Sorry, the display went a little weird, but I fixed it. Hopefully that doesn't fuck with the recording. We'll see. Woo! Onward, motherfuckers. Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay, so
Sorry.
as you guys are, Commander Atasi is sitting behind his desk, and Valko is sitting on the very nice couches, and he said, it's the Black Crescent, isn't it? You can see that the commander is staring at him, and it's a very blank expression for a moment before he sighs, and he goes, and he's like, well, that would be one way. That would be one way to put it. And Valko, as he's like leaning back on the couch, he was just like, what do you mean that would be one way to put it? And Rowan just kind of interjects because he's sensing like the tension that's kind of starting to form. He goes, well, the magic that we've been seeing is only something that someone from the Black Crescent could do. I've never seen anything like it. Is everyone just going to be quiet during this whole thing?
I'm assuming that I'm not there yet.
You're not there yet.
You made it sound like he was gonna say more.
Oh, sorry. I keep pausing to give you guys a chance to interject.
I think we all know at this point that if Torrent has something she wants to say, she's just gonna start yelling at everybody, and it's gonna be heard. So.
And Commander Atasi shifts in his chair and is leaning back, and he pushes some of the reports around on his desk in front of him, because like everything on his desk is very, very much organized. Everything is in place, but these reports kind of look like he tossed them on there initially, and he was annoyed. And he's like, the issue is that every drop of water from here to the northern point of Prudence seems to be polluted. And then he's just like, by some magical means, could only make, it's the only thing that could make sense. And he like leans forward again. He's just like, after dealing with Temperance's mess to the best of my abilities, he was like, I've discovered the source of this problem is somewhere around here.
How long has the water been like this?
And Rowan kind of speaks up, and he goes, and he's just like, well, it's harsh enough to say, but it's going on 6 weeks now. And God, you guys are so quiet tonight. What the fuck?
Shit, I'm about to text you, okay? So look at your phone.
Okay. Callie just called me an illusion. Fucking rude. You guys are unaware of what's going on.
Yeah. So Torrent's gonna turn to Rowan and be like, how did it start? Did the water all just suddenly turn black? Did it spread from somewhere?
And Rowan just kind of nods and goes, yes, we've been trying to figure that out ourselves. Just one morning, everything was pitch black. It's like some of the children started playing in it, and it's safe to say that they are worse for wear. They haven't woken up yet.
So, Fargrim, after thinking about it a little bit and looking around, is going to chime in.
Hmm?
I assume you've been purifying it some way. 6 weeks is a long time with no water. Is magic been helping, or have you been doing some more mundane things?
And Rowan's like, well, magic's the only thing that does help. We've been having any water brought into Prudence seems to corrupt right away. And you can kind of see him looking for the right words, and he's just like, we had a cleric here up until a couple of days ago who was purifying the water. He was doing the best he could, and they would bring in, thankfully Hoskoth is our neighbor, so we've been having water brought in enchanted casks to use, but it's to the point, it's in the air. It's so humid here that it's driving people crazy.
So while he's talking, Torrent is going to use her create water spell, and she's just gonna kind of like create like a baseball-sized glob of water in her hand.
As you do that, you can see Rowan kind of flinch, And despite like as you've done this strangely enough, you look at it and after a short while, it starts to gray a bit, but it doesn't go fully black.
So, at the mention of it being in the air, Fargrim is immediately going to take some cloth and make a mask. Very thick, multi-layered mask.
And the commander's like, thankfully, at the rate of which people absorb water, it takes a long time for it to actually affect people's psyches.
Yeah, Fargrim's going to give him a look. Aye, but it's better to be safe, don't you think?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm absolutely fucking loving this. Doodly-doo. Like Jess is talking to someone, but we'll give her a moment. Yes, for all the people listening, I have brand new dice to destroy people with. So today's gonna be a nice day.
But it's nighttime.
Time
It's
isn't
daytime in
real.
Australia.
Time isn't real. Sub-God, dropping some knowledge on you. Michael, do you guys have anything to munch on out there?
Some beefy Frito burritos.
Something I can have?
Sorry about that. What did I miss while I was on the phone?
Fargrim took cloth and is covering his face now. And that was
Okay.
about it. And the commander advised him that exposure would require a long period of time to actually start affecting someone's mind.
Okay. So I'm
And then
gonna
spoke through the mask saying, better safe than sorry.
True. So I'm gonna keep like staring at the water that I created in my hand. And does it get like any more blacker, or does it just stay gray?
It's just gray.
Okay. After a few minutes, I'm kind of gonna just let it go, and the water's gonna like spill onto the floor. And I'm gonna look around and see if there's anywhere that I could like sit down for a second.
Yeah, there's the couches.
All right, so I'm gonna like.
There are the couches that are across the room by the bookshelves, and then there's like 2 chairs in front of his desk.
What am I closest to?
You were just standing in the middle of the room. Valko's the only one who sat down.
Then
The door is at the midway point between the 2 halves of the room. One room is very much business. The other room is like the other half of the room is like if you had guests.
Okay, so I'm gonna like. Looking kind of distracted, I'm gonna like walk over and plop down on the couch.
Okay. And then Rowan's like, we've sent troops into the forest. It's getting to be difficult. And Valko just he leans forward and he just kind of like crosses his legs and like he kind of you can kind of see he eyes Rowan really quickly, like he's sizing him up before he speaks again. And he goes, I'd imagine going on 6 weeks of exposure to poisoned water. It's just like your troops are probably mad as can be by now.
So
I'm
gonna kind of look at the commander and kind of speak up a little bit. Hey, so you told us a problem, but what's in it for us? I don't see any reason to stop just waltzing right on through the border. The water only seems to be bad here.
And while he's saying that to the commander, Torrin's gonna like turn to I forgot his name already.
Balko?
Yep, keep forgetting his name. I'll remember it one day.
I will
And she's
message
gonna kind
it.
of whisper.
I will message it to you so you remember for the duration of this.
Thank you. She's gonna kind of whisper to him. She's gonna be like, "How do you know it's poisoned?"
And he's just like, it makes people crazy. They don't know what it is, and it put 3 small children in a coma. You tell me.
And I'm just kind of gonna look at him, but like my eyes are kind of hazy. And I'm gonna be like, it's wrong, but I'm not sure it's poison.
And he just kind of adjusts himself to on the couch, like he's like leaning in your direction and kind of like redirecting his attention to you. And then he is just like, what do you mean by wrong?
I mean, I know water, and while this is water, it's just
Goosebumps?
rock. Hmm?
He was like, you know, goosebumps, that feeling, like when you want to crawl out of your skin.
Yes.
He's like, that I can understand.
That's how this water feels.
And then he's just like, and then he's like, well, I see. And he was just like, you might just be our secret weapon. And the commander.
That's what Fogrum was doing.
Yeah, and then the commander looks at Fargrim. Expression hasn't changed, and he is just like, there was offer of reward.
Hey, go on.
And then he looks at you and he's just like, what would you deem acceptable for such a task?
Well, let's see. You got an entire little providence. Can't drink the water. That's a lot of funds going into making sure you can drink it all. Then you've got the sick. You got the children in a coma. Sounds like it's pretty valuable. I'd say it'd be quite the favor you would owe us.
And then he kind of leans forward and he rests his elbows on the desk, and you can kind of see where his hands are like interlocked. You can kind of see the tension, and even though his expression hasn't changed, you can tell it like his body tensed up, and he very calmly goes, I would empty the entire coffers of this city to make sure that the children are okay. And then he like kind of unfolds his fingers, and he goes, I had to move my daughter to this cesspool to clean up its mess.
So Fargrim's gonna kind of nudge Torrent real fast.
I'm on the other side of the room from you.
You went over to Falco. We didn't separate.
Were you at Falco too?
We're not that far. It's not that big of a room.
It's not that big of a room.
Okay. Fogrum nudges me. I'm gonna look up at Fogrum.
You mean look down?
I'm sitting.
You mean look down?
Look down at Fogrum.
Yes.
It's quite an offer there, little ass. I imagine you'd be able to do quite a bit with a full city worth of ransom. What do you think of that offer?
And Torna's gonna like take a really deep breath for a second, and she's gonna just look at Fogrum in the eyes, and she's gonna like whisper to him so that no one else hears. This water is just wrong. I would fix this without a reward.
Oh, so Fargrim's gonna lean in, kind of a little confused, really serious, but still a little confused. What do you mean, lassie? This is magic polluted waters. I mean, we could probably solve this no problem. Shouldn't we get something for it?
And Torrin's gonna like just sit there for a second thinking. And she's gonna say, any reward would be fair for you, but I just need for this water not to feel so wrong. And she's gonna like kind of sag back into the couch.
And then Valko kind of finally stands up and he was just like, tell you what. And he looks at Fargum for a second and then he looks at Commander Atasi and then he was just like, he's like, Fargum, if you were restoring, like if you were helping people who were sick, say you were a doctor, not a gunsmith, what would you charge?
Let me think. You're talking a country full of people, whole province. I'd say per person, it would probably be around, give or take, 10, 15 gold if I'm feeling rather charitable. I mean, these are people's minds.
And he kind of snorts a laugh and goes, he was just like, how are you going to carry that much gold for a country's worth of people? Why don't you ask for something reasonable?
Hey, you asked me how much I would charge. I said that you owe us quite the favor.
And
Certainly go far.
Valko's like, but that's why I asked. Considering, he was like, if you ask for something like gold, you'll have way too much to carry. And the amount of time it would take to collect all that money, then he's like, not to mention the head count. And he was just like, you could ask for something better.
And Torrent's gonna like kind of lean forward again and tap Fogrum. Fogrum.
Yeah, he's listening.
Alright. And she's gonna be like, you could ask for more tools for your guns. You could ask for magic. You could ask for any other form of payment. Also, my friend, you got something on your face.
Hey, lads, there's something on my face. What do you mean?
Torrance is gonna like lift her hand and kind of just like wipe it across his face and be like, it's there.
Like across, because it's across his forehead.
Yeah, so just be like, it's there.
Did you just Simba him?
Bitch, yeah.
Technically, she didn't because it was already there.
Well,
Okay, so Fargrim's gonna kind of wipe his forehead a little bit and look at his hand.
How rough are you wiping your forehead?
Well, he's a little concerned, so I mean, he's got pretty gnarly hands. It should whatever's there should come off.
So when you look at like your calloused fingertips, as Fargrim looks at like his fingertips, you notice that there's something blackish on it.
So he's gonna panic just a little bit. Definitely just not happy whatsoever. And he's gonna grab some more cloth and proceed to start wiping down his body. Right there, in the middle of the room, looking for anything black on his body.
And you see Rowan kind of twitches and like he just kind of like twitches and then he walks over and he goes, "Hang on." And then he was like, "May I?" And he holds out his hand for the cloth.
Yeah, Fargrim's just gonna he's still gonna be just wiping himself down.
He specifically wants the cloth that you used on your forehead.
Oh, well, I can toss that at him.
Yeah, because it's all dark and one sec. What the fuck? Sorry guys, we have a shit ton of dogs.
and I love all of them.
Michael, I hope you muted your mic.
It's been muted.
Okay, I was about to say, they would have heard me scream, what the fuck?
I could read your lips.
Hush!
Give it a sec. We're waiting for the dogs to quiet down.
I couldn't read your lips. The mute button was in front of your mouth. That sounded a lot funnier in my head.
Okay. And as you kind of hand him the cloth that you used on your forehead, because like you could see that it's like some dark briny stuff, and then you hand it to him, and he holds it up, and he just kind of smells it, and he goes, "It's ink." And then the commander goes, "Oh, is that what it was?" And then he's like, he's had it, and then he kind of motions to the head. It's like he's had it since they arrived. I just assumed it was a normal dwarven thing.
Fargrim is going to be incredibly, like, he's going to be embarrassed at his whole panic and everything else, and at the same time, he's going to be looking at the dude freaking a little suspiciously and snatch it back to take a look at him himself.
It does smell like ink.
So he's gonna he's gonna keep holding it to his mouth and kind of sniffing it a little bit. He's gonna taste it real fast just to make sure that it tastes like ink too.
It is ink.
Why he knows the taste of ink, just that he knows what the ink tastes like.
Well, yeah, you accidentally stick a pen in your mouth while you're working on something, and then you just like accidentally pinch your finger and you bite down on the pen, so you accidentally know what.
That is such a disappointing answer to what could have been a great story.
Shut up. We are not. Fargrim does not eat pens.
I said don't ask. There's a bit of mystery to be had here as to why I know what ink tastes like. Let me have this.
Fine. For now.
Anyway, so he's going to slowly kind of reverse momentum and stop wiping himself down in, panic mode and all that. And gonna put the cloths away. And then he's going to very kind of almost as an afterthought sniff his pits real fast.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what was the last part?
Fargrim's checking to see if he needs to take a bath.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you, there's ink smeared all over your forehead. But you guys are in the marshland, so baths would probably be best all around.
Yeah, not yet. Definitely not in this water.
Yeah.
So Fargrim's gonna just make do with wiping his forehead and whatnot with the cloth, and kind of keep his knowledge about how much he needs a bath to himself.
Okay. Side note.
The dogs go off.
Shut up. Side note, that one night you went to work and we had Fargrim pass out on the Dead Witch's couch. Everybody tried to write on your face, and then Wolfric fucked it up, and they started smearing it because they were trying to fix it, and they just decided to leave you alone.
I didn't do anything.
Holly just watched and laughed.
By everybody, she means me, the doctor, and Morden.
Oh, okay.
And the Dead Witch. The Dead Witch was in on it.
Just out of context, so you knew what was going on. Yeah.
But Fargrim doesn't have a clue.
Yeah,
Fargrim
has no fucking idea. Okay, so, now that that's handled. Silly people.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too, and then Shay texted me asking why none of us had told him he had ink on his forehead, and I was like, oh dear God, this is hilarious.
Literally everyone who is, every time I've said that people have done a double take and, looked at him again while they were speaking to him, nobody acknowledged it. I was just like, he has ink all over his forehead.
I thought people were just being racist. I thought people were just being racist.
I mean, he's not even, they're right next to Hoskoth. He's not even the one they should be doing a double take on. Look at your stupid party.
I think you mean our amazing party. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're only saying that because Wolfric's not there.
We're all amazing. -1.
Rude. Anywho,
Was
so
that
back
one
to
more,
you
right?
deciding. Yeah, because we're missing a person. Back to Fargrim deciding that what he wanted as a reward.
So Fargrim's gonna kind of think for a moment after the panic and the embarrassment from the ink fiasco kind of wears off. And he's gonna turn back to the commander. Hey, so, do you have anything of, any scholarly notes in this province? Maybe a piece of technology you're proud of, or maybe something that might be particularly useful to us?
And he was just like, he kind of nods for a second, and he goes, well, he's just like, I can give you what I know to my best recollection, but all of our notes was with the cleric who was here last week. Unfortunately, that cleric has gone missing.
You mean to tell me all of the dances, all of your cool little inventions, you left all of the blueprints with one person and not in a library or some sort of...
Okay, hold up. Backtrack, Mike. You're not in Eston. Eston is where the Inventors Convention is. You're in Temperance.
I know, but people do still keep track of what they make and what they have in a city.
Okay,
or a
I was just making sure you weren't confused. Okay, I was just trying to clarify, because if I'm confused about you being confused, then shit gets weird. Okay, continue.
So you mean to tell me that this cleric there, he has the blueprints, all of your knowledge, everything that would be in a library, all of your achievements as a province, this is all in his hands?
No, I was stating that matters related to this issue were all in his hands, and all of them are seemingly gone. Now you're talking about the archive. That is something that could be arranged.
Oh, that sounds a little bit more like it. Give us access to this archive and we'll be able to see what would be of value to us.
And he stops and he stands up and he circles around the desk and he's like, I tell you what. Sorry, adjusting my glasses. He's like, the Inventors Convention that is being held in Eston has given us an invite to allow our scholars to display their knowledge of the archive for everyone else to see. And he was just like, if you attend, you may look at whatever you'd like. And he was just like, there are particular documents that are being chosen for display, but the whole archive itself will be in Eston at the time. He was just like, I will allow you unhindered access. Will that suffice?
I'm sure our party would be able to find a few things that would be able to benefit us. Does anybody have any other requests? I'm good.
Okay, just so you know, as he says that, you kind of see a little bit of panic on Rowan's face when he says that, and he just kind of shoots him a look, but then it quickly just disappears.
Do we need to roll perception to see if we caught that?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I roll with disadvantage since I'm preoccupied?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, mine's going to be a 23.
Mine's a 6.
Mine's a 15. Yeah, 15.
Okay.
What about Morden? What do you get?
Morden's not currently. He's not currently in the room.
I see 5 things open.
He's in the chat room, but Morden is not in the room. He's off playing with
I apologize for the delay, everybody.
It's totally
I
fine.
had Boogie. I'm here though.
Yeah, you're fine. Basically, while everyone was going into the commander's room to have this serious discussion, Amethystine dragged you off to show you her playroom. So you got dragged off by a small child. We will circle back to that in a second. And
Okay. The only one who noticed the look then?
I'm still not there, right?
you're getting close. I'm getting to that next.
Okay.
Torrent and you noticed his look.
Okay.
So Torrent's gonna be like, Rowan. Is it gonna? Yeah, you hear me? I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Okay.
he looks at you.
Gonna keep going. Why did that look across your face?
And he looks at the commander, who's plain expression, and then he looks back at you, and then he sighs, and he's like, it's because the commander has promised to show you something that has sensitive documents, and whenever he does things like this, I get yelled at. And he is just like, unfortunately, he doesn't seem to care.
Hey, but don't you think that maybe a Providence-wide disaster in the making might cause one to think about bending the rules a little bit? I mean, we're just travelers.
And then he's just like, and then he shrugs, and he's just like, it doesn't matter to me. He's like, it doesn't matter to me so much as it would the people in the capital. He's like, I just don't like getting yelled at for something that is obviously a reasonable action.
So then Torrent's gonna lean forward, like where she's sitting, and she's gonna kind of smirk at Rowan, and she's gonna say, then maybe you should train your commander not to do things that get you yelled at.
And then he just kind of glances a look, and he's just like, I have tried so much.
Well, what about keeping a secret? I mean, surely everybody here can manage to do that.
I've kept many secrets in my lifetime.
And then Rowan's like, you have to understand, these are people who are very uncomfortable with accepting something at someone's word when they do not know the person.
So let them get to know us.
And then he's just like, it'll probably happen sooner than you think. He was like, if the council hears about if the Senate Council hears about the commander's promise, then there is no doubt you will have their attention shortly.
Well, isn't this going to be wonderful?
I think we're all fairly used to having people's attention.
And suddenly, as you guys are going through this discussion, you guys hear a very loud scream come from outside. And it's followed by even louder yelling. And while that's going on, boom, to the playroom. Morin, are you present?
I am.
So, as you've been steered off because Amethystine's like kind of patting on your head, and anytime she wants you to turn down a specific hallway, she's like, this way, and she just kind of pushes on your head. Like she's trying to direct you to where her room is. And there's a door, and as soon as you open it, there is several toys very much princess themed, and there's curtains on the far wall hanging over the window, as well as it's the same material and the same color of deep blue as the canopy over her little bed.
Okay.
And the comforter is the same dark blue, but it's got little gold designs threaded through it. And then there's tons of princess dolls and dragon stuffed animals. Some of them seem poorly made, some of them seem more well made, as well as wooden swords lining her wall, like she set up her own little armory.
Okay.
And a lot of the some of the dolls, they are arranged in funny little situations. Like one is like the table's tipped over, like they started a fight in the middle of eating, and then she looks up at you and she grins and she's just like, "I'm sorry, Rowan was playing constable with me."
Rowan. Oh, I don't have my stuff. Hold on.
Rowan is the lieutenant.
Yes, that's right.
And so, yeah, she just kind of leaned over from where she's sitting on your shoulders, and she smiles and says that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and she's just like, but Papa said I need to clean up my room, but I'm not done playing yet. She's like, so I'll clean it when I'm done playing. And she's just like trying to slide off your shoulders now.
I'll catch her and set her on the ground.
And she does it like a little pose, like a little gymnast, and then she runs over to her little shelf, and she pulls out this really big book, and she's like carrying it on top. She's using her head as a balance, and she's carrying it like this, with one hand on each end, and then she walks over. She was just like, this is my favorite story, and she like drops it down, and she flips it open, and she's like scattering her way through the pages, like, and you know, some of the pages are kind of bending when she's like pulling her way past, and she stops on this big little cartoony mural of a dragon, a princess in a suit of armor, and on one end, and then on the other end is a pack of wolves and like a dark shadow.
Okay.
And then she's like, this is my favorite story, but I've never met a dragon before.
I will chuckle and say, well, child, while I am not a full dragon, I am dragonkin.
And she goes, that's better. You can talk.
Well, there are dragons that can talk up in the mountains.
And she's like, but Papa said those are mean.
They prefer to be left alone.
And she was like, but you don't, which is better.
I will say quite.
And she was like, besides, if I got a big dragon in my room, then it would be really messy, and Papa would yell at me.
Indeed, child, indeed. I'll take the book in my hands and study like the pictures and the words. Is there words on the page?
Yeah, it's all common. It's all common.
Okay.
What you can tell, the cursive is very nice. Like, someone made this book. It's fairly recent and it's pretty new. And like the artwork was all specifically done. Like somebody used actual paints and everything to make it a nice book. And on the cover of the book itself, in like it's the Princess and the Wolf King is what it says. And where it says princess, it's outlined in gold, and then the rest of it is outlined in silver.
I'll mutter that under my breath. Princess and the Wolf King.
And she's like, it's a great story. And then she's like, I have to be the princess now because the wolves outside are mean. She's like, so somebody has to tell them to stop.
Quite. But what wolves trouble this town, child?
And then she looks at you and she frowns and she's just like, the wolves, they're outside. She's like, they don't come in the towns, and they're mean, and they're mean. Papa always complains about them.
I'll file that under to be discussed later. Well, I shall have to talk to your father about these wolves then.
And then she's just like, I tried asking him, but Papa said that there's no use fussing over a problem that's never going away. Which, compared to what you've heard and spoken to this man about, does not sound like something he would say.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm gonna say that in Draconic, just under my breath, how uncharacteristic.
And then she's like, you know magic words. She's like, teach me. And she's like shaking your arm now, or at least she's trying. She's trying to. She's like, teach me the magic words. She's like, I want to know.
Literally teach her magic words in Draconic, please.
Please.
I'm not gonna dignify that with an answer. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bellow laugh, like real wholeheartedly, and then I shall teach her. Then I'll sit her down in front of me, and then I'll sit down on my knees.
And when you
sit.
do that, she just crosses her legs and sits up like very astute, like it's super happy, but you know, like kind of like a kindergartner.
Learning a language, child, takes a lifetime at times. However, I will be glad to teach you 3 words.
And she's like, yes.
First will be the name of my kin, the dragonkin, and I shall teach her that word, and I don't know how to say that in Draconic. Hold on.
You can just give me what the words you're gonna teach her, and I'll just put them in here for later.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna teach her dragonkin, friend, and the storm. Actually, yeah, you can do that.
And then when you're describing the word for the storm, it's like storm. Is that kind of like the word that they use for maelstrom? Which is something you remember, because I'm only bringing it up because that session was way, way back. So I will give temporary reminders, but after a certain point, it's on your own to remember. That is what the dead witch called you.
Obviously that'll catch me off guard, and we'll say yes in a way that is. However, in our language, it's more of a life-giving essence, something to wash away the old era and bring anew the new year.
And then she's like, and then she's just like, but that kind of sounds like the maelstrom. And then she gets up and she runs back over her bookcase and she's trying to pull something out and it's kind of like stuck. And then after she shakes it a little bit, she gets it loose and she brings over a little blue book. And then she's just like, I can't read all the words in it yet. And then she was just like, but this is one of Papa's books. It looked really cool, so I took it.
Oh, excuse me. Obviously I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna gently open it up to the first page. Or is there any markings on the cover first?
It's got a very nice, almost velvety blue cover, and strangely enough, there is a crack in that cover and like the corner, like it was like hit or something hit it, and it like tore the piece of that book out.
Okay. I'll open it up.
Yeah, and it's a very, very excessive cursive. So some of it's a little bit, it's in common, but some of it's a little hard to read. a lot of the first couple of pages are observations describing a place called the Slough, and a little bit it mentions that it's just like that the maelstrom is the destroyer of the Slough. Hades, did you get... One sec, my kitten got locked in my room. Come here, tiny one. He's meowing at the door. And he is being taken away. Ah, what are those?
Water balloons?
Oh. Is that Blake's thing?
No, that was mine and Blake's thing. We came up with it.
Nice. Do you have munchies?
I have no munchies.
I was betrayed. Alright. Back to being good sub-god. Anywho, so, that's basically just from the first couple of pages what you can see. And then she's just like, the maelstrom's supposed to be a good thing.
I'll nod, staring at the book.
And she's like, you can borrow it, just don't tell Papa. I was like, I don't think he knows I have it.
That'll bring me back to reality as I chuckle. And I'll look at her and raise an eyebrow ridge, I guess would be what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And with a knowing smirk, saying, "You're a mischievous little one, aren't you?"
And then she goes, and then she was just like, well, yes, I'm a princess, so they can't tell me I'm wrong. And she was like, because that would be treason! And she shouts it. And as you can, just like the bookcase itself, a lot of the books on there, just like from a second glance, some of them are storybooks, but some of them look like they're obvious books that she took from her father.
I'll file that away in my less than capable brain. Hold on, let me make a note real quick.
Yeah, and then after she's already scrambled back to her feet and is going over to her toy storage, and then she's just like, I'm really glad that I get to play with the dragon today because I can't play with any of the other kids.
Another strict rule from your father?
He's just like, no, Papa says they're really sick.
The children are?
And then she goes, and she was just like, Caleb and Aster fell in the water and they were playing, and then they were really sick, and Papa says that I can't see them.
A wise man.
And then she just kind of frowns, and then she goes, she's like, well, I want to go outside, but Papa won't let me go outside. But how am I going to deal with the wolves if I can't go outside? And then she grins at you, and she's just like, let's go outside.
Now, as much as it is that a dragon and a princess should combat the wolves, we must also take caution and not overstep our bounds. Your father has good reason to keep you here safe. Now, my companions and I will be checking on those wolves of your father's. And I promise I'll bring you something back.
And then she's just like, promise, promise, promise. And she's like, it's not a promise unless you pinky swear. And so she just very energetically holds out her pinky.
I will raise my eyebrow and then extend my claws.
And she wraps her pinky around your finger. And her finger is obviously so much smaller than yours. And then she is just like, that's it. It's official promise. And then she's just
I
like,
will bring you something back.
she's like, Papa said that pinky promises can't be broken.
Well.
And as this is all going on, suddenly you hear the scream from outside.
Crap, what was her name?
The little girl?
Yes.
Amethystine. So, amethyst and then I-N-E. Or I-N-E, yes.
Poor child.
See,
Why? Yeah. They called her full fucking name last session and everyone was like, oh, damn!
Like, learning to spell that must be a bitch.
It's actually the name of a really poisonous cobra. But it's super pretty, bright pastel purple, so that's where it got its name.
I am going to immediately respond by pushing Amethystine behind me and facing the door where the scream came from. I
The
suppose.
scream is from outside, like the window.
Oh, the window?
Mhm.
Cool, I'll position her between, or
Other
me
way.
between her and the window.
Yeah, other way.
Mhm.
And, meanwhile, Wolfric, is at the gate. He's already past the checkpoint because you went past so fast the guards didn't even notice. Because they were like, was that something there? And, suddenly, once you have hit the basis of where the dirt road leads into about a stone pathway and you can see the beginnings of the town, Squeaks stops to a halt, turns, and looks at you, and his tail's going.
Well, but in a town, do you smell the others?
And then,
Wait, you wouldn't know what they smell like.
and then he goes like, and he like circles around and circles around and circles around, and then he's just circling around you, and you can kind of see him sniffing the air, and then he's starting to make disgruntled noises. He's like, and then he just starts growling.
Do I feel unnerved coming from him?
Yeah, a very much I don't like it sensation. Not like a full-on danger, but a very uncomfortable feeling.
I wish you could tell me exactly what it is.
And then
Which phase it comes from.
And then he kind of pounces around, and then he kind of runs towards where the tree line is a bit, and then he like backs up and like stops in front of you, and then like his ears go back, like he doesn't know.
Well, we better find the group so we can tell them.
And by this point, some of the townspeople are starting to stare.
Oh shit! Because he's still in active mode, isn't he?
He is very much an active, dangerous-looking creature.
Can I make him shrink?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
the second you kind of get that sensation of, oh no, he looks at you. He just kind of tilts his head.
I'm gonna make him shrink, and I'm gonna put him in my backpack again.
And he like kind of like an unceremonious poof, and he's back to the little itty bitty coyote pup, and then he smokily bolts to your shoulder and reforms on your shoulder and just squeaks at you.
I'm gonna need to go back into my backpack. Wait, you don't need to attract unwanted attention.
And he's kind of, now that he's tiny, you know that his ears are back, and he's like kind of shaking, and it's a very much don't like this place, uncomfortable feeling.
Don't worry, I will protect you.
And then he gives you a little lick on the cheek and jumps in your bag.
Okay. Close the backpack behind him while also giving him a piece of dried jerky.
Yep.
And
He makes one last little squeak before he curls. It doesn't even sound like he wants to eat it. He just curls around it and goes to sleep.
okay.
And back over to the office, and you guys hearing that scream, what are you doing?
Torrent's gonna jump up and like run out the doors to see what's going on.
Yeah, Fargrim's still in the
Same.
same.
Yeah, and Rowan and the commander are right behind you. Valko is not.
Fucking Velco.
Falco's gonna get Falco punched.
And the commander has and it wasn't even rudely, but briskly put himself in front of the group. Like, he, navigated his way past you guys without even bumping shoulders and was in front of the group immediately.
Torrent's gonna like dodge a little to the side, that way she's not fucking behind the guy.
Yeah. And
What is going on?
and he, as soon as he gets down and he leaves through the fort's entrance, he can already spy soldiers, and there's a crowd forming. And he walks up and he grabs one of the soldiers, and he is just like, at first he says, "Report," and then there's no response, and then he grabs one of them by the shoulder and turns him around, like, abruptly, and says, "Report." And the soldier, at first, it's like he doesn't even see him, and then he goes, there's been another one, sir. And then he's like, he groans, and then he turns to Rowan and he's like, "Lieutenant Oak, I want you on crowd control." And then and you suddenly see Valko has appeared by that soldier.
Yep.
Valko has appeared by that soldier.
Oak?
Huh?
Lieutenant Roanoke.
Yes, I'm so glad you caught it.
Oh, no. Oh my god. I'm gonna hang up now.
Is this town supposed to be creepy now?
Like the nice, sweet, young, surprisingly young lieutenant. He's just an innocent little ginger, and his name is Rowan. And I was like, God, what should his last name be? And then I came up with that earlier, and I was like, this is gonna be fucking funny. So that's one of those little DM things that I did not come up with beforehand. And so Valko's right by that soldier now, where he had not walked, as far as you know, he didn't walk down with you, but he's here now. And and the commander doesn't seem to even be fazed by it, and he gives him a look, and then he's just like, "You with me." And then Valko's like, "Right away, sir," and just follows him. He's very just joking about this, and he kind of gives you guys a look, and he's just like, "Exciting." And so the soldiers have begun clearing back the crowd, and literally not even the soldiers doing, but the people immediately clear out of the commander's way.
So Torrent's gonna grab that soldier who the commander talked to that said there's been another one, and she's gonna look him in the eye and she's gonna be like, "Another what?"
And then he's like madness from exposure. He's like, "I assume the commander's told you."
He's told us some.
And then he's just like, "Can't really describe it. You're just gonna have to look for yourself."
So she's gonna turn away from him and then start walking after the commander. She's gonna like stumble a little bit a couple times, but she's gonna do her best to catch up with him.
Yeah. And as like I said, the soldiers didn't even do it, but the crowd just cleared out of the commander's way. Not a single person wanted to be within his field of vision when he's stepping forward. And in the center of where these people have gathered around and the soldiers are pushing them away, there is a man who's convulsing on the ground. Like, and the commander has as soon as he steps up, the soldier who's standing by him, he was trying to keep everybody back, just kind of steps out of his way. And the commander kneels, and which surprisingly gentle, he sticks his hand on the man's cheek and just taps him lightly, and he's like, Ansel. He's like, you're home, friend. He's like, stop it. And then he snaps his fingers a couple of times. And then you hear the man, as he's convulsing, he's kind of like muttering something, but it's not common.
Am I anywhere in this vicinity where I can see what's going on?
You heard the scream.
What language is it?
I'm sorry, you cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
You heard the scream. That was right as you had shown up and put Squeaks in your pack.
What
I'm gonna run toward
the man muttering and
it is not a language you know.
God damn it. Bird.
And
okay, that's Wolford.
And then he's just like and then he looks over at Balco and he's like, he's completely incoherent. He's like, I can see that. And then he's just like, and he's just like, move. And Valko kneels in front of the man for a second, and you see him as he goes to put his hand on him. He's just like, let me. And then he looks down, and he turns the man's arm over for a second, and then he backs off. And then he's just like, sorry, can't help.
Torrent's gonna move in closer and try to see what's on the guy's arm.
As you get closer, you know that there's a very, there's an X tattooed into his wrist, and one end is longer than the other.
So I'm gonna turn to Valco and say, what's that mark?
And then he's like, how much do you know about medicine?
Not as much as I ever wanted to learn, but enough that I've kept some people alive.
Just like, well, there are some people that don't want to be alive. And he walks away.
Can I roll a medicine check to see if I understand exactly what he meant by that? I think I do, but I want to double check.
Go ahead.
I got an 18.
It is a mark that very typically means the medieval equivalent of do not resuscitate.
Okay, cool.
Let me know when I get to the crowd.
This is actually the point where Valko is walking away, is when you can spot Torrent and them standing over this person who's freaking out on the ground.
Can I see the person?
Yes.
I'm gonna make my way through the crowd saying, "Move! I'm a doctor!"
And at that, Atasi's direction look, it just immediately turns to you sharply. And then he was like, you! And then he was just like, I don't know you.
I'm gonna, how close am I to the commander?
You're still right next to him. You're still right next to him.
I'm yelling him back.
Put my hand on his arm real quick, and I'm gonna say he's one of our party. He's just been running behind.
So Funk's gonna pull out Hresvog, and kind of irritatingly tap it against his leg.
And at the mention of the whole party thing, you can see him kind of reluctantly calm down. He's just like, fine, let him through. And the soldiers move further out of the way.
Okay, I'm going to cast Comprehend Languages, and I'm going to understand what he's saying.
Comprehend Languages only works on books.
For the duration, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear.
Okay. What was the one that Celeste was reading me? That said you had to touch it.
Yeah. No, that you also understand any written language.
That's just for physical.
It's one of them. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know why I was conflicting that. And you hear a very muddled. It's almost like a very. was that? It's almost like a war flashback, and he's talking about how the traders are still hiding in the hills, and that they need to move. They need to move. The children aren't safe, and it's just like they don't have enough supplies. And it's just like the impure are attacking them unfairly, and they didn't do anything wrong.
Okay. It wouldn't tell me what language he's speaking. Will it? Does it?
It does sometimes, but in this case, it is not one you wouldn't recognize.
Okay. You do know all languages I speak, yes?
Yes, you're good. It's not one you would recognize.
I'm just making sure because I forgot if I told you or not. Okay. I'm gonna do a medicine check on him to see if I can tell if it's something that I might be able to help alleviate.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He has a DNA though.
14.
You don't really have a full scope of what's going on. You think maybe something to calm the shaking would possibly work. Something pure and herbal, and just like get him, because like a basic medicine is probably something you could easily make, but at the time, like, the supplies you would need is not something present.
Okay. I'm gonna pull out that mason jar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take a little bit of it. And like, how bad are his convulsions?
They're kind of going back and forth from being horrible to less horrible. But it seems when the commander speaks to him, they're not as bad.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the commander to continue to speak to him, and I'm going to try to force that down a little bit of that herbal stuff down his throat.
Okay. And like, the commander is just like, it's like, Ansel, and then he was just like you're still in Temperance, my friend. It was just like it was like that fight happened a long time ago. And
can I roll perception to see if the gentleman still has like any water on or around him?
Go ahead.
I got a 21.
You can see that he is most definitely sweating, but when you look at it, it doesn't even look like water. It's just dark. Like somebody took a brush covered in black paint, stirred it in a water, and then poured that on him.
Is that something that I could have seen with my medicine check?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not something you've ever seen happen, but it's something that is definitely noticeable.
Okay, I'm going to take a sample of the sweat to be examined at a later time, and then I'm going to ask if anybody can create water.
I already used that today, though.
And then Rowan who has stepped away from the soldiers because they're now managing on their own. Rowan's just like, we still have purified water in the enchanted casks we got from Eston. It's like, would that do?
Yes, bring me it.
And then he was just he's like, right away, and he runs off.
I'm also going to turn to one of the soldiers and list off the ingredients I'd need for any kind of herbal remedy that I could make that would help with the convulsions.
And then one of them nods, and he's just like, I'll check with Katya. Maybe she has something, and she leaves.
I'm gonna get down next to the guy and kind of reach my hand like I'm gonna wipe some of the sweat off of his face. But I'm gonna stop before I actually touch him. And then I'm
when you do, you see that Atasi kind of flinches because he's wearing gloves, but like he like flinches over like he's gonna stop you, but then he retracts his hand when he notices you stop yourself.
And then I'm like just barely a little bit gonna like gag, and I'm gonna take my hand back and stand back up and like back away a little bit.
And he definitely does a double take at you when you do that, and then he turns back to soldiers, just like, I want them cleared, and then he looks over at Wolfric, and then he's just like once you are done, one of the soldiers will move him into the keep.
Okay.
He's like he'll put him with the others for observation. He's like, if you could take a look at them, I would be grateful.
I nod in agreement. I look at the dwarf. I can't remember his character name.
Bagram.
I was like, dwarf, do you have any clean cloth?
So Fargrim's gonna look at him incredibly just irritated as hell and kind of respond.
I think I do. But
May I have one, please?
no.
I'm going to attempt to persuade you.
Okay.
Go for it, homeboy.
I'm going to fail miserably. 14.
What am I rolling?
It'd be... opposing charisma test, wouldn't it?
Yes, it's an opposing charisma test.
Okay. So that's a 15.
That's bullshit. This is the guy who fucking gets a 5 on charades.
I've got a +0 to this. It was just a 15.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Roll for charades, Mike. Roll for charades.
Roll for charades.
Crap.
Anywho. So,
then Torrent is gonna look over at Fogrum, and she's kind of gonna give him like a nod, like, give him the fucking ball.
So Fargrim's gonna get a little huffy.
Do I need to roll perception too, Fogrum?
or
Do you need me to
persuasion.
persuade?
No. Me and Torn are good. Fargrim and Torn are good.
Love you, Fogrum.
Shay, real quick,
Hmm.
how far down is the or how far up is the window from the crowd?
Oh, it's just second story.
How far away is the crowd?
It is about 2 blocks from the... So if you look out the window, you could probably see some of it curling around the edge of the block as far as where the crowd's been pushed back now. Because the house is below the keep because it's higher up, but you could still see the rooftops of the houses below.
Alright, cool. I'm just gonna, as I'm looking at the window, I'm gonna turn to Amethystine and say, Amethystine, stay here. I will be back. And jump out the window.
And she's like, aww, and she just sits down. She's just like,
You just broke the princess's heart.
I'll be back. And of course, run into the crowd.
And as the commander has stood up, he grabs Torrent's arm and he was just like, but it's like gently, and he's like, you, a word.
I'm gonna let him pull me away.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, just to be clear, Fargrim gave me the clock, yes?
Yeah, at the end of my freaking rifle.
Rude. But yeah, okay. You go about your doctor medicine business. We're not going to drag it on for too long. The soldiers are returning with the stuff that you need.
Okay, I'm going to make the remedy to help with the convulsions and administer the dose, and then start using the cloth that Farin gave me. And I'm of course wearing gloves already because I took the sample. I'm gonna start trying to wipe the sweat off of him, and the water. I'm going to I wet the cloth first with the water, and just kind of try to keep him cool while administering the dose.
Okay.
Yeah, Fargrim does not want that cloth back.
You weren't gonna get it back because I'm gonna use that for studying.
Gross.
He was just like, it's not. He was just like, fine, I don't plan on returning it. And so, Tassi pulls Torrent over, and he's like, you're sick. He lets go of your arm, and he's like, go back to Hoskoth.
Wait, sorry, I was reading something. What?
He very seriously looks you in the eye and goes, you're sick. Go back to Hoskoth.
I'm gonna look him in the eye, and I'm gonna say, this is a problem I can help with. I'm staying.
He's like, not if you die before you uncover the problem.
I swear to you, if I'm going to die, I will leave. For now, let me help.
And then he's just like, from what I know about your kind, you are very sensitive to water around you. And then he's just like, but I can see you are very stubborn. Follow me.
I'm gonna follow him.
And you can see that he has returned back to the keep. Morin, you have happened upon the doctor helping the injured man. He's mostly done now. A lot of the shaking has subsided. And Rowan is ready and waiting. He looks over he's crouched down on the opposite side of the man. And he looks at Wolfric and he goes, "How long till I can move him?"
I'd wait at least 45 minutes for the medicine to take full effect, and then you can move him.
And then he's just like, do we need to bring anything out? Blankets, at least to make him comfortable. And he's just like, and then he's just like, wait a minute. And then he stands up, and then he looks at one of the soldiers. He's just like, bring one of the tents.
Just make sure he's comfortable and gets a good night's rest.
And he's just like,
that's all we can do for him for now.
He's like, well, he's just like, we use tents for scouting sometimes. It's like we can, for the time being, at least pitch it up to keep the onlookers from making him more uncomfortable when he comes to. And then as he's walking over to the soldier that he was barking at, he says, "If he comes to."
Bad bedside manner. Bad.
It was less of an attitude and more of like a defeated statement.
Still, you don't say that near a patient, even if they're unconscious.
Jessica, you and me are having the exact same thought, and I love it.
So Fargrim's gonna come up to the commander.
They left.
What?
He left with Torrent a moment ago.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking follow. You think he wants to hang around the doctor? He doesn't want to be there.
What about you, Holly? Well, Morin just showed up.
Yeah.
And you just abandoned Holly there.
Holly has not said specifically anything this entire session, I think.
She said, she said, I'll follow them out, and that was it. Okay, and fine.
I'll stay with the doctor and board.
Okay, and Fargrim trying to catch up with the two who are already walking ahead. He walks very quickly, but you could tell he kind of glances back a little bit to kind of make sure you can keep pace with him. And once he realizes that Fargrim is quickly in tow, he slows down a bit more so he can catch up.
Yeah, Fargrim is not a sprinter.
Yeah, he is aware. And
I'm gonna look up at the commander real quick, and I'm gonna be like, your attitude seems to change really quickly when you're around us, Commander.
And then he's just like, and he gives you a sideways glance, and he goes, "It's the exposure." He's just like, "I wouldn't say I'm completely immune."
So you'd rather plead sanity than admit to the fact that you don't always know what's best.
And he's just like, I've never claimed to know what is best. It's like,
You just tried to make me leave your country because you think I'm getting sick.
Like, it was a suggestion, and then he stops in front of a door, and then before he grabs a hold of the doorknob and he says, you can see why, and he opens it and he steps into the room.
I'm gonna follow him into the room. Foghorn, you coming with us?
Have I caught up at this point?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah.
Into the room.
And once you enter this room, you realize it is an infirmary, and there is a minimum of 16 filled beds. And he walks past some of the ones that are groaning and still crying and muttering in that weird language you don't know. And he stops at the end where there is a very large curtain drawn, and he pulls it aside and he goes, after you.
I want to walk a little more slowly than he did and actually look at each of the patients. But I'll walk through the curtain after I get to him.
After, in there you can see that there are 3 smaller beds, and there are 3 children in the bed, and unlike the other patients who are still groaning and upset, they are dead quiet. And you can see that a closer look at them, their skin is clammy and it's pale, and like it looks like their veins have turned black. And then he's just like, these children fell in the water while playing and have been like this since. He was just like, your kind are more sensitive to this sort of situation. You can understand why I made such a suggestion.
I understand, and as I assured you, if I feel my life is threatened, I will leave. But for now, I would like to see what I can do to help. And I'm going to take a couple steps closer to the kids.
So
and then
Fargram's gonna walk up to one of the kids. He's gonna lift up the eyelid to look into one of their eyes.
Do you have gloves, Foghorn?
Oh, he is being as careful as possible at this point, and yes, he does have gloves.
Alrighty. Okay, we're good.
And as you can see, it is a haze over their pupils. You're close enough now that you can hear that they are slightly breathing, but this is the equivalent of as close to, if you hadn't have gotten that close, you wouldn't have even known they were breathing.
And Torrin's gonna stand there for a second, and then she's going to just turn around and walk as quickly as she can, walk out of this room and find her way back to that moat that we had walked past when we were coming in. That was full of the black water.
So Fargram's going to turn to the commander real seriously.
Hey, Commander, don't you think that this isn't exactly the time for tours? We need to know where this is coming from if you want us to solve the problem.
And then he's just like, I've been trying to figure out where it's coming from. It's like, unfortunately, there have been side issues. I was going to explain them, but then the debacle outside happened. And then he's just like, let us gather your friends, and I will finish my explanation.
It sounds like a reasonable enough request. I'm pretty sure it won't be too terribly hard to find.
So Fargram's going to go ahead and head on out and start gathering everybody that he can, to include, begrudgingly, the doctor.
And,
Yes.
So you go out, and they're all still standing there. Torrent, what are you doing at the moat?
So when I get there, I'm going to use my shape water cantrip because it and create are two different things, and I can use them each once within the long rest. And I'm gonna so it's, I can control water that fits within a 5-foot cube within 30 feet of me. So we're good. I can. Wait, I'm just reading it. It lasts for an hour if I'm still controlling the water, so we're good. So I'm gonna kind of make it into a ball in the air, and I'm gonna try to see if there's some element in the water that I can pull the water away from to try to separate it and see if I can get clean water.
Okay, do an Arcana check.
I got a 17.
Okay, so as you're doing this, you kind of sense that there is something manipulating the water. Definitely, it is that creepy feeling like there are bugs under your skin that you've had since you got there. It makes sense now. There is someone with the ability to manipulate water who is obviously doing this. After a moment, you kind of feel like when you're trying to separate the what you notice as magic and the water itself to kind of purify it, you notice there's a pullback. Like it's something is pulling back on it, trying to keep it there. And after a moment, you see a pale eye flash in the water in front of you, and then the darkness is gone, and the water is crystal clear.
All right, so I'm gonna just keep holding the water and sit there for a minute, staring at the spot where I saw the eye, and try to think if I've seen that eye before at all. No?
It is unusual. It's vaguely familiar. It's something you have seen before, you just can't really place it.
Okay. So then I'm gonna stand up and hold the water with me, and I'm gonna walk back and try to find Fogrim and all the others while I still have this clear water.
And as you're walking, the commander is coming back out of the keep, and he sees that in your hand, and then he's just like, "How did you do that?" And he gets closer.
And I don't even look at the commander. I'm still just staring at the water, and I'm gonna tell him I was trying to see if it was just something in the water that I could separate it from, but it's a person. They're forcing the water into this. It's their magic, and they've got a hold on all of it. They fought, and I saw an eye, and then I'm gonna drop.
Okay. And as you're explaining this, you kind of notice that his nose is twitching a little bit, and he goes, "That smell is gone." And then he was just like, and he very much straightens up his posture, and he goes, "I see." It's just like it's less of a something and more of a someone we're looking for.
And I'm gonna nod a little bit, and then I'm kind of gonna sit down for a second. Just sink down to the ground and sit for a sec.
And then he looks at you for a moment. He goes, "There are chairs inside."
And I'm gonna look up at him and I'm gonna say, "And I will go get one when I'm ready to stand again."
And then he's like, "Very well." And next thing you know, he takes a step forward like he's gonna walk away, and then he turns back around and plops down cross-legged on the ground, and his arms are still crossed, and it's still a very blank expression.
I'm gonna stare at him and I'm gonna be like, "It seems I'm not the only one who's stubborn."
And then he is just like, "I would be no commander of any merit if I allowed someone who is feeling ill to be left on their own."
I'm not one of your soldiers.
And then he is just like, "You are in my country. You are my responsibility, whether you be human or not."
And she's just gonna take a second. He'd be like, Commander, I don't see what me being a different species has to do with anything. I'm still a person. You didn't need to specify.
And then he is just like, I specified for a very good reason. Temperance has had issues with foreigners lately. It's part of the reason I was stationed here. We were trying to clean up the previous issues with my predecessor. And then you can see that the conversation is kind of making him uncomfortable a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna be quiet for a second, and then I'm gonna like smile at him and I'm gonna be like, by the way, your daughter is lovely.
And for the first time, you have seen a genuine smile on his face, not even just the teasing one from earlier. And then he is just like,
yes!
And then he's just like, isn't she? I have no idea where she gets it from. Her mother was a terror.
I think that leaves only one other source she could have gotten it from there, Commander.
And then he was just like, you can see he goes, it was definitely not me. And then he was just like, I am the picture of a soldier. He's just like, and my daughter is as flighty as a bird. And he's like,
Commander, there has to be more than you than just following and giving orders.
and he was just like, yes. And he was just like, but I don't play all my cards. And he was like, at the beginning of the game.
And that is a wise move. And then Torrin's going to go ahead and stand up and say, let's go find everyone else inside and find some chairs.
And then he goes, indeed. And he climbs to his feet very easily. And then he was just like, maybe we'll find one to your liking. Better than the ground.
Commander, the ground always serves a good purpose.
And then he was
The
just
best
like,
thing I've ever sat in is a hammock.
And then he was just like, I have never even seen a hammock.
Commander, I have much to teach you.
And then he was just like, you're an interesting person. He was like, I doubt I would converse with you otherwise. And everyone is regrouping. Everyone's back together. Patients being dealt with by the soldiers. What is up, everybody?
I'm gonna get this guy to fall in love with me. Alright, so
You guys are what's going on?
I'm gonna look at the doctor and I'm gonna say, how was the patient? Doc?
Scheiße,
Herr Doctor?
I was muted, I'm sorry. I'm going to say recovering, although I cannot guarantee that the symptoms will not come back.
And the commander nods, and then he is just like, I thank you for the service.
It is my pleasure, as a doctor.
And you can kind of see like you see like his nose twitches again, and you kind of see like the lower part of his eye kind of flinches for a moment, but it's gone just as quickly. And then he stops and he's like, I do have a question. And then he looks over at Tort and he's just like, you made me think of it earlier when I spoke about the previous commander here. Then he is just like, none of you have been in Prudence, I'm guessing.
No, I don't think I have.
Warren's gonna shake his head.
Holly and Fargrim?
Oh. No, not me.
Brahm's keeping his silence.
And then he goes, unfortunate. He was just like, the information that I now know I need to relay to you would have been much easier had someone actually been here prior. He was just like, but I will give it to you, and we will see what we can do with it. And he motions. He was just like, back to the keep, shall we? Or back to the fort, whatever. Keep.
After you.
Sure, sure.
You guys spent way too much time on Marsha's keep. And then,
I'm sorry that there was people who needed saving.
I was supposed to say, I keep saying keep instead of fort. And so as you guys go back into the fort, right as soon as the doors swing open, Amethystine is standing there with her arms crossed, glaring, and she's just like, you guys took forever.
I
I'll
will.
say it was my fault I kept him so long.
And she's just like, I don't care about Papa. Papa's lonely. He needs assistance. And she's just like,
I want to giggle.
and she's just like, I'm talking about the dragon. He promised he'd be right back.
I'm gonna laugh a little bit.
I
and
will
look at the
push
commander. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna laugh a little bit and look back at the commander first, then I'll look back at Infesty and I'm gonna be like, I was talking about the dragon too.
I'll push forward and kneel down and offer her my arm so that she can clamber back onto my shoulders.
And she's like, and then she pauses, and her attention goes right past you to Holly, and she beelines past you and goes running up to Holly and swings around her, and she's like, you have a tail. She's like, Papa, she has a tail.
I'm gonna see if I can move it and wave it in front of her face just a little bit.
Yeah, and she is enamored with this display.
Hey, I'm glad you liked my tail. I'm pretty proud of it too.
And then she was just like, she's so pretty. Just like, Papa, you didn't tell me there were pretty people here. And then she looks down and she was just like, I'm not dressed. And then she bolts off down the hallway. And then he chuckles, and the commander chuckles, and he is just like, she has been reading too many princess stories. She feels she must be dressed for the occasion.
And she must.
And then he's just like, please, follow me back to my office. I'm sure she will return. And as you guys are following him into the office.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And as the commander enters the office, and then Rowan has rejoined because he was coming from the other end of the fort, and doing all of his busy work. That's what he does. And as you guys walk into his office, Valko is sitting on the couch, whereas earlier he was relaxed. His legs are crossed, his arms are crossed, and he's just stone-faced. And the commander doesn't pay him any mind and goes back over, but instead of sitting behind his desk, he's just kind of leaning on the front of it.
I'm gonna go sit down in one of the chairs in front of the desk. Actually, scratch that. I'm gonna go sit down in the chair behind the desk, and I'm gonna kick my feet up on top, and then just kind of smirk.
And he looks at you and straight face says, I'm glad you found a chair you like.
And I'm just kind of gonna nod at him and put my hands behind my back and just lay back.
Everyone else crowding into the room?
Yes.
Yes, but I'm gonna lean next to the door.
Okay.
I'll sit in the chair in front.
Okay. Bargrim?
What's up?
Bargrim and Wolfric are the only two people, you guys came in the room. Are you just standing there?
I'm just kind of observing for right now. I'm trying to get a sense for all of well, Fargrim's trying to get a sense for all this and trying to figure out where we need to go next.
I'm going to find a corner of the room but no one can see me, and I'm going to check on my pet.
Okay. Everybody roll perception.
That's an 8 total.
I got a 15 total.
Okay.
16 total.
I got a 3.
Okay, Morton is deeply concerned with what the commander has to say. Fargrim could not give a shit less about the doctor. But Torrent and Holly kind of notice him being a bit sketchy.
I rolled a 6.
He did not stealth this up, guys. If they hadn't have rolled equally horrible, then they probably would have noticed.
Wait, I was rolling stealth?
No. I was just saying as they rolled for perception. I was just like, but like, not that, I was like, I would allow you to roll for stealth, but you didn't say it.
Oh.
You just didn't let me finish speaking.
Okay, I just heard everyone roll perception, and I thought I was included in everybody.
No, you were the one who said you were going to try to check on your pet, and I was just like fucking with you. I just said everybody roll perception to see if you notice him acting sketchy.
I'm always acting sketchy, though.
Yeah. And so, the commander, once Rowan shuts the door behind him, the commander looks at you all, and then starts speaking again, and he's like, I mentioned the previous commander, but I did not mention the details of his replacement. And then he is just like, he's dead. And then he is just
I
like,
can't fix that.
and then he is just like, nor would I ask you to. I am the one who killed him.
Why?
And he is just like, there was
I mean, I'm not judging you for killing people. I've done it myself. I just want to know the motive.
And he just like looks at you when you say that, and then he goes back to speaking. He goes, there had been rumors of corruption among the guards here, and travelers never making it past Hoskos border, as well as missing supplies. It was attributed to bandits and the wolves. He was just like, but some of it was a little too calculated. Once supplies that was supposed to make it to the city for this current pandemic had gone suspiciously missing, he was just like, I was ordered to investigate. And he was just like, during my investigation, I learned that the commander was hoarding the supplies to himself. Not only that, he had imprisoned every foreign person who crossed this border into a work camp. And then he was just like during the raid to break the ranks of his loyal soldiers and to free all of the people he had enslaved. Several of them went unaccounted for. He's like, so I'm assuming, he's like, not that there was a ledger or anything, but some did escape once we blasted through the work camp's walls. He's like, I'm going to assume that one of the people in said work camp is not very happy about the situation. That was when the water situation got much worse. At first it was just a nagging pollution, making people feeling a little queasy. And now it's at the point where people are going comatose.
I would suggest, Commander, that you ask as many people as you can if you have any form of documentation on the people that were in those camps, or if any of the soldiers just remember.
It's like, I have been tearing this fort apart brick by brick. I have found nothing. It's like, unfortunately, the details left by the previous commander were conveniently destroyed. And then he was just like, though, as to who is responsible, I am still unsure.
And we only have the clue of one pale eye.
And he was just like, which is what raised the alarm? It was just like, if he was trapping foreigners, it was just like anyone not local or even remotely similar looking to the people around him. I have no doubt that one of them might match your description. He's like, as little as we have to go off of. He's like, unfortunately,
Hey,
since they scattered in
real
the woods,
quick.
I have not seen them. Yes.
I have to go to bed. It is 36. I have to get up early and drive an hour to work. So
Yeah, actually, let me check. What are we at? Yeah, we're 10 minutes from 2 hours anyway, so we're gonna wrap this up soon. If you want to go ahead and jump out, we'll just leave you with your pet for a while.
okay, I'll feed us in.
Nighty night.
Have a good night.
Did Michael just say that to me? Accepted.
Hey,
Michael said it, not Thogrum.
yeah, I have no problems with you or your character. Fargrim, on the other hand, is a different story.
And so like yeah, he basically said since they scattered into the woods, he's just like there have been no signs of any of the people who were missing.
So Torrent, real quick, is gonna take her legs down off the desk and look at, everyone else in the room. Because only the commander should have, understood the pale eye quote reference there. And she's gonna tell them all, I tried separating the water to see if I could get it to purify from a mineral or whatever. And it was a magical force being placed in the water by somebody else. And when I tried to pull it free, they fought. And in the end, I saw just one pale eye. And then I was able to purify one ball of water. And then I dropped it. But now we have one clue.
Do you know if they saw you?
Sorry, go ahead.
If you saw the eye, did you know if they saw you?
I do not. But from the force I felt of them pulling the magic back, I'm sure that they at least felt me.
And then the commander like sighs and he's just like, if it's any help, I have an idea, albeit a horrible one.
I'm gonna look at him expectantly. I'm gonna kick my feet back up on the desk and look at him expectantly. It's called asserting dominance.
And then he's just like I said, everyone who ran has gone missing, and we have been unable to recover them. But those who had remained, we escorted outside of Prudence or to wherever they wanted to be. Most did not want to stay. And he's just like, but for those who are very easy to track and who are who could very obviously be pointed out by a witness description to have just vanished off into the woods. It's just like, I would say it would be the wolves, but we'd find remains. It's like, and then he's just like, so, my conspicuous bunch of travelers, what say you we take a walk?
So Fargrim's gonna instantly get suspicious here. He's not a dumb rock.
Yeah.
I got a terrible suspicion. You mean to purposefully let one of these mad ones get away so we can follow it to the source? Am I understanding you correctly?
And then he's just like, somewhat. If people of varying description have gone missing outside of the city's borders, it is safe to say that if people such as yourself leave the town's borders, we might discover the culprit. And
So you're suggesting we let ourselves be captured?
I don't think he's suggesting that at all. I think he sacrificed somebody.
And he's just like, on the contrary, I don't expect anybody to lose their lives. He's just like, I expect us to leave. He's like, I expect us to leave the city. I expect us to be attacked, and I expect them to be slaughtered.
I'm gonna smile a little bit, and I'm gonna be like, at least you're learning what to expect when it comes to us.
And then he's just like, people who come with the dead, which is high praise. Usually, he's just like, I, from experience, have learned not to question it.
This coming from the same man who decided to plant his boot in my chest as a form of greeting. That's quite a bit of a turnaround.
And then he was just like, as I said, and he was just like, at the time, he was just like, at the time, he was just like, even past leaving Prudence's borders, he was just like, we're still under the effect of exposure. It's like, I am relatively better at keeping my sanity, but my temper not so much.
All Fark hears his excuses.
Yeah, and then he was just like, and I did apologize.
He hasn't given Fargrim a drink yet.
He hasn't. Torrent's gonna smile and she's gonna say, Commander, you're forgetting he's a dwarf. A proper apology includes a drink.
And then he was just like, I understand, but I would not risk giving him anything in Prudence, would you?
I'm gonna look at Fogrum and I'd like straight, serious, dead face. Absolutely not.
And then he smiles for a little bit and he looks back at Fargrim. He's just like, so, as the socialites say in the city, brain check.
Torrent's gonna like jump up and she's gonna be like, wait a second, I think I might have an exception. And she's gonna pull the flask out of her pocket. And she's gonna hand it to the commander and she's gonna say, pour him something from that and I think he can call you even. It should be safe.
I just remember that he almost drank himself to death in the last session. And he raises an eyebrow, and he goes over to the cabinet, grabs a glass, he opens the flask, takes like a sniff, and then stops for a second, and then pours it.
Dang it.
I'm gonna laugh and I'm gonna look at Fogrum and I'm gonna be like, look at me. Does he really expect me not to just have a flask of alcohol prepared?
And then Valko has finally spoken up. He's like, I don't suppose you'd allow me to have a glass.
I'm gonna look at Valko and I'm gonna be like, he's getting it as an apology. What's your reasoning?
And he's just like, celebration of our newfound friendship.
I wouldn't call you a friend quite yet.
And then he's just like, closer than I was earlier.
Damn.
I'm gonna chuckle a little bit and I'm gonna turn to Fogrum and I'm gonna ask him, is it okay if your apology turns into a drink for the whole group?
Hey, I suppose. The more the merrier, of course.
And then you suddenly hear at the door. And as Rowan opens the door, you hear, and suddenly the door flings open because he opens it and Amethystine falls face flat. And she looks up and she's just like, that was on purpose.
So without missing a beat, Fargrim's gonna keep as if it was just one long sentence. He's gonna go ahead and keep going.
I don't think the little lass should be one of the merrier ones, though. We might not survive the night.
I'm sure that our graceful princess can, find a drink of juice or some other safer beverage.
And she's just like, juice? Someone has juice? Papa? They said juice. And then
I'm gonna walk over to her and help her up.
And she gets up and she's like, oh, I remembered. And she runs over to Holly, and she's posed, like, arms wide in the air. And she is wearing a light blue dress. And it's got little lace lining the bottom of it. And she's just like, we match.
I'm going to do a small clap, and I'm going to say, well, miss, you are the most beautiful princess I have seen yet.
So, this is just a hunch, but Fargrim's going to try to look in Amethystine's eyes and see what color they are.
They are sharp gray. But if you want to roll perception, I can probably give you a little more.
20 total.
Okay, 20 total. They are sharp gray, but whereas you had seen them earlier and they seemed pretty normal, now that it's starting to get darker, they are very narrowed.
Narrowed like cat narrowed, or narrowed like investigative narrowed?
Like animal-like.
So Fargrim's not an expert on this sort of thing. Somebody else that is an expert needs to handle this.
But he noticed a thing, and then as the commander brings over the drink and he leans down to hand you the drink, you notice that his eyes look the same way. Okay, go ahead, Torrent.
Out of character, Morden, earlier when you were talking to the princess, and there was that story about the wolves and the princess, and she said that right now she has to be the princess. And then also, what I told you the other day about the Pinterest boards, I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what's going on.
You may or may not.
Right. So,
you may or may not.
Just saying, pretty sure I know exactly what's happening, but Torrent doesn't, so I'm out of this.
She just wanted to go on a excursion of I'm right, and then...
Yes, exactly.
So again, Fargrim is definitely internally screaming right now.
Cool.
He has no good feels about this.
And then Atasi looks down at Amethystine, and he is just like, I will get you juice in a moment. And then he's just like, please be patient and be kind to our guests. And then she's just like, I'm always kind.
I love her. Can the rest of us see their eyes? Or was it just Fargrim?
Perception checks. She's running around the room like a little monster, so...
You said Atasi's eyes were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I got a 21.
You've noticed it. He's like, because when he speaks, he doesn't, it's not like he's looking around. He's dead eye contact to the point where it would make a standard person uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to walk over to the commander, and under my breath, I'm going to be like, there's something different about your eyes.
And then he shrugs, and he is just like, he's like, it's the light, and he goes back to handing out drinks.
Smooth.
And Torrent's gonna stand there for a second and think, and she's gonna say, tell me more about the wolves in the woods.
Fargrim wants to use. I want to do an insight check to see if Fargrim can tell if that dude is lying or hiding something.
Go ahead.
Oh, nice. So that's a 25. I rolled a 19.
Holy shit!
Yeah, he's bullshitting.
So Fargrim's gonna call him on his bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Commander! It seems to me that for us to be able to help you out a little bit more, there needs to be some answers to these questions. I mean, I could understand if you need to clear the room a little bit, but we need to know what's going on. It's our lives at stake.
And he's just like, what questions have I not answered?
You've answered them. I just think Fargrim's saying you're not answering truthfully. Am I correct, my friend? No. It's obviously directed at Fargrim at the end.
I think there might be something else going on here besides the water problem. I think we need to know about it.
He's like, it is a country. There is always something going on.
Hey, and your vague responses aren't doing nothing to help the mood. I think you might want to be explaining the eyes on your little lass here. The darling has a beautiful set of eyes.
And
What?
she cups her cheeks and she's just like, Papa, he likes my eyes.
I freaking love her.
But I think, I'm thinking that, these eyes, they probably see a lot more than normal people. They seem rather acute.
And then he is just like, I never claimed to be normal. He's just like, but I can understand what you're getting at. And then Rowan kind of steps forward and he's like, Commander. And then he's just like, Rowan, he's like, honestly, it would probably be best just to save your breath and let it go. And Rowan just kind of looks down and then he just annoyed. You can see that he has relaxed his posture for the first time in front of the commander, walks over, sits down, and holds out his hand for the drink. And then the commander hands him a drink, and then he was just like you. He was like, you were just in Hoskoth, the land where the dead never sleep. Unusual. He was like, unusual, is it not?
Notably so.
And then he looks over at Valko and he goes, you. He was just like, you were most obviously from Catalina. He's just like, how often do you see the sun? And you can kind of see the bridge of Valko's nose kind of just pinched together. And then he's just like, Prudence, much like the rest of the Far Edge, is unusual in its own right. He's just like, besides, you will probably discover this when you look at the archives, so there is no point in me keeping it hidden. And he takes a drink, and half of his glass is gone immediately. And
respect.
And then he's just like this. He's just like, Prudence has its share of wolves, dire wolves, and werewolves. It's just like, it's a standard problem here. And he is just like, but werewolves have not always been considered an issue. He's like, there is those you would run into if you even dared to leave the towns, which by basic standards, they're dangerous in a group, but not unmanageable. It's like, and then you have the standard people of Prudence, such as myself. And he was like, the wolves in the forest are known as the impure. He was just like, where people like myself are known as the awakened. And then he was just like, he crosses his arms and he leans back on that little bar table, where the little shelf where he had the little cupboard where all of the glasses were, and he leans back and he's like, Prudence is not only, he's like, infested with werewolves, it is the birthplace of the whole Lycan line. And it's just like every person who is born in Prudence has wolf's blood running through their veins.
So
Yeah. This might have been, pertinent to tell us. You'd have people that are losing their minds. If we get attacked by werewolves while we're out and about, don't you think we need to be equipped to handle them? Or is it that you just don't want us to be able to hurt your mad townspeople?
He's like,
countrymen?
He's like, on the contrary. He is just like, did you see any of those who were in the beds or even Ansel in the street changing forms?
No.
He was just like, it is not something that standardly happens. And unlike the others, the impure in the woods, who have no control over themselves, he was like, the awakened have gone through their rite of passage and have full control of themselves. He was just like, there's the occasional full moon that will drive them insane. He was like, there's an occasional full moon in most of, that drive the impure insane. He was just like, but for us, it's more like just a power boost. And he's finished. He drains the rest of his glass, and he leans over to Torrent and he goes, "May I?"
Yeah. Someone's gonna nod.
And he's like, "Your hand." He's like, "Your hand, please."
I'll give him my hand.
And he sets his hand on it, and you can see because he's no longer wearing gloves because he left him over by the drink station. He's got scars all over his hands, and then he like some of them are like teeth marks, like itty bitty little teeth marks. And he flips your hand over and he puts the glass down gently, and then he's just like, "Now I can set the glass down as gently as that," or. And then he, with a single index finger, touches the glass, and a crack forms on the side of it. He is just like, we can be as powerful as we need to be. And he is just like, and then he is just like, he was like, as far as I know, the wolves in the woods seem to be immune. Like, so whatever this is, like, this magic is, it is purposefully targeting the awakened.
So I'm gonna stare at the glass in my hand for a second with the crack, and then I'm gonna just set it down on the table next to us. I'm looking at him and I'm be like, "So you're a wolf, Morden's a dragon, Bogum's a dwarf, Holly's a tiefling, I'm Genasi. There was nothing to hide here."
He's just like, you can understand the caution of, he was like, considering, he was just like, outside of our borders, the prejudice against wolves is incredibly obnoxious. And he's just like, which is why the idea of foreigners was looked down upon by most of the border towns, to the point where one corrupt man was able to take advantage.
That's understandable. But if you don't mind me saying, I'm still going to be needing quite a bit of silver. We're going to need it if we're going to be going outside the town.
He's like, "Silver can be managed, my friend, but I may warn you." And he kind of grins a little bit, and he's just like, "Silver will do nothing to me."
I wasn't talking about you, Commander. I figured if I'm going to deal with you, I've got plenty of other ways to go about it. But you've got ravenous wolves out there.
And then he's like,
a more explosive touch.
He's like, "Ravenous, no. Foolish, yes." And then Amethystine is just like sitting with her legs crossed on the floor, and she's just like, "This is funny."
I'm gonna look down at Amethystine and I'm gonna just kind of smile at her, and I'm gonna be like, "You want to know what else is funny?"
She's like, "What?"
And I'm gonna like lean down and I'm gonna whisper in her ear, and I'm gonna tell her, "Morden is terrified of magic. Go pretend that you're doing a spell on him."
Oh, that is evil.
And she's like, "But he's a dragon, he won't play with me."
This is how you get him to play with you. It's how I made him be my friend.
And she's just like,
"Do I need to roll persuasion?"
no. She got up and she runs over to Morden and she very loudly shouts, "Whoa!" She rolled a 3, guys. She was not succeeding. She did not know what to do.
I love her.
Lauren is going to look at her, raise an eyebrow, and say, "Yes, little princess."
And she's just like, "Torrent said that you would play with me if I did that."
You can rat me out.
You didn't tell her not to.
I'm going to look accusingly at Torrent.
I'm gonna smile at you.
And then I'm going to pat little Amethystine's head and say, "As joyous as it would be to play with you, child, there are other matters that need my attention in order to keep you and your town safe."
And she's like, "But," and then before she can object, the commander speaks up and he's like, "Amethystine," and then he looks over and he's just like, if you don't hurry, he was just like, your dinner will be cold, and there will be no more dessert left. He was like, do you really want all of the soldiers to eat all of the dessert on you? And she goes, no! And then she runs out the door. And then she's just like, and he looks at you, he looks around the room for a second. He is just like, it is about supper time. He is just like, if you would like, we can prepare you some food. And then tonight, he is just like, we can take our walk.
So Fargrim's gonna, get his glass and drink, looking at the commander, just like deadlock, with the commander's eyes. I think that'd be a fairly good suggestion, but don't forget about that silver now.
And then he was just like, easy enough. He was like, I could have it prepared while you eat.
And I think we got a feast to attend. What say you, Torrent? Holly?
Torrent's gonna slip her flask back into her jacket pocket, and I'm gonna say, you go ahead, my friend. I'm just gonna go look at the water a little longer.
And as at that moment, Valko is up and the first one out the door.
Fucking Valko. I still don't trust him.
I don't think anybody trusts him.
Brutus does. Alright, Holly, Moden, food, what have you?
I will join you in a moment. I need a word with the commander.
I'll join you, Fargrim. Let's go to the table.
All right.
And then Rowan kind of motions. He's like, I'll show you the way. And he follows you out the door.
Alright, so then I'm just gonna leave the room too and go walk back over to the moat.
And Atasi has locked eyes with Moden. He is just like, so, you have my attention? Okay, at this point, because he did leave, we're going to have that the doctor, after checking on his pet, he went to go check on the other patients. Because he already told the commander he would, so that's dealt with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure Roanoke gonna just up and disappear on us, Shay? Are you sure Roanoke isn't gonna just up and disappear on us with no warning?
Would you like to die? It's my joke!
Well, everyone who was in Roanoke kind of did die. Just say.
See, now you got her doing it, guys. Okay, continue, Moden.
I am going to produce the Maelstrom book and show it to the commander, saying, perhaps you should keep a closer eye on your library. As mischievous and adorable as she is very clever.
And then he doesn't seem fazed, and then he is just like, my library is free for anyone to look at. He is just like, including my own child. He's just like, I would not keep something within reach that she was not allowed to touch. She has a knack for stories.
I will nod, and then bow a little, saying, my apologies. Some idea had entered her head that she had this without permission.
And then he's just like, may I let you in on a little secret?
I am starting to believe I am already in on it.
He's just like, she believes that if she can get away with it, then she is... He's like, then... I know, it's just like, she believes if there is something that she needs to get away with, she works a lot harder to go for it. By making my books seem like they are off limits, she puts in more of an effort to read them.
Nods. By Lady Amethystine word, I would like to borrow this.
And then he was just like, feel free to. And he was just like, just as long as you don't destroy it, it's kind of already taken a hit.
I'll gently stroke the edge of the damaged book, nodding and saying, "Yes, it seems that way."
And then he's getting ready to leave the room. He was like, "Is there anything else you wish to discuss?"
I'll snap back to reality. No, there is not, Commander. I do apologize for taking your time with such a trivial item.
He's just like, "Not trivial." And then he's just like, "I imagine." He's just like, if the book bothers you so much, then you must have a great interest in the topic. And he's just like, and then he steps a little closer and is like, "But be warned, this below is a dangerous place. I would not enter that place idly."
I will look to him and slightly chuckle, saying, "My commander, or commander, have you ever known a dragonborn to be idle?"
He is just like, "I've only met two, and I can say no." He's like, "Unfortunately," and then he is just like, "You don't stay still for long."
I'll chuckle and snort sparks out of my snout.
And then he was just like, "It was like if you wish to have sweets, you best get off to the dining room. No doubt Amethystine is stuffing as many as she can in the sleeves of her dress."
Come, we shall feast together.
And then he is just like, he blows out the candle that is by the doorway, and then he's just like, "Let us go."
And we'll go.
Okay, and Torrent, what are you doing? You said you were gonna go look at the water again?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of sitting by the edge of it and staring at the water, because I already used both of my spells. I can't do anything else with it, really. But I'm, like, focusing really hard, trying to see if I can feel anything again, like I felt earlier.
And then after a moment of sitting there, you hear, "Is that it? Is that even any fun?"
I'm going to turn around and see who's speaking.
Valko is now sitting by you, and he's kneeling to the side of you.
I'm just kind of going to look at him for a second and then turn back to the water. And I'm going to say, normally, yes, but this water, there's nothing fun about this.
And then he's just like, he grins, and he was just like, "What do you think would happen if I jumped in it?"
I think you would be in the hospital just like the other patients.
And then he was just like, "Well," he was just like, "I haven't run into a thing that affects other people that it's affected me yet." And suddenly he's starting to slough off his armor. And he like, everything else he's taking off with, like, reckless abandon, but then when it comes to the scarf, he very gently pulls the pinlets and folds it down and sets it on the ground.
I'm going to grab his hands, and I'm going to be like, if you touch that water, I will tell Brutus how reckless you are being.
And he goes, "You think Brutus cares about me?"
I think Brutus cares enough about you to be furious that you're recklessly endangering yourself.
And then he goes, and then at this point, he's just, like, he's still, like, messing with the laces on his boots. And then he is just like, "Let me show you something cool, okay? I have an idea." And then he takes off his boots and he tosses them aside. And then he's like, "Cannonball," jumps in.
So I'm like, lean over the edge and see, like, I don't know how deep the water is, see if I can see him or if he's still there or what's going on.
At first, nothing. And then moments later, he comes up and he's just like, "Tastes gross, but I feel fine."
I'm going to start screaming at him. Do you have any idea how reckless that is? And how disrespectful it is to the people who are currently in the infirmary and their families, that you would just so recklessly risk adding another patient onto the workload, another life hanging in the balance? Do you have any regard of other people?
And as he's climbing out of the water while you're yelling, and then he was just like, I have plenty of regard for other people. And he was just like, it's like, what? And he's just like wiping the water off, and he was like, it was worth the challenge. And he, like, his tone kind of changes, and he's just like, not like I was any help earlier.
I'm gonna look at him and I'm gonna be like, I'm sure you could have done something, but we haven't given you much opportunity. We don't have much ground to stand on to trust you, and doing something like this doesn't do a lot to get you closer.
He's just like, you want me to tell you a secret?
Yes.
I could not give a flying boar's ass whether or not you trust me. It's just like,
I didn't think you did.
he's just like, and he chuckles, and he's like, what matters to me is these people. Like, sure, your dwarf friend wants payment. He's just like, your other tiefling friend is very interesting and very quiet, and I find that very disconcerting. He's just like, she's adorable, and I also think that she would probably kill me immediately.
She would.
And then he was like, and then there's your dragonborn friend who looks at me like he wants to pull my arms off at every second of the day. And then he was just like, and then there's you. He was just like, who had random concern for me jumping in a river that I knew was not going to affect me. You want to know why?
Why?
The commander said that the foreign people who had escaped had gone missing in the woods. But they had never found any bodies. So you'd think, it was just like, there's a moat here. I was like, I know there's supposed to be a river. When I was walking around, I heard people talking about it. The kids fell in it. It was like, so if someone was foolish enough to say, be running and try to drink the water, like, you'd think there would be at least one or two people like me and you. It was like still laying in the dirt out there. There were no bodies.
I'm gonna look at him and look down at the water real quick. I'm gonna look back at him and I'm gonna ask, do you have any bottles on you? Any container at all that's empty?
And then he goes over to his armor and goes to his pack, and he's just like, he looks in a bottle, and there's like a little rock in it, and he opens it, dumps the rock in his hand, and he hands you the bottle.
So I'm gonna lean over the edge and dip the bottle into the water and try to get some of the water into the bottle without touching the water. Do I successfully not touch the water, though?
Do dex.
Hmm?
Do dex. What did you do?
I got a 7.
As you go to dip the bottle in, suddenly you feel the lip of the bottle touch the water, and suddenly your hand is pulled in the water. Like something grabbed you, and Valko immediately is like, no. And
I'm gonna scream and try to
grabs your arm, but it suddenly can't get loose. But this overwhelming feeling of like the feeling you've had since you got here, that queasiness, that dizziness, it's like there's it's less of a confusion now and more of an actual feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do a perception check for her scream?
Yeah, go ahead.
Scream.
Oh no, she didn't scream. You said you did.
Scream.
You said you did though.
No, I said I was gonna try to pull my arm back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
And yeah, Valko's the one who was like, no, and he's like trying to help her. And you get this feeling of it hurts, wrong, I don't want to be here. It's just like.
I'm gonna scream.
I'm gonna roll a perception check. Yeah, I don't hear that.
Morden is currently trying to keep Amethystine from stuffing 3 sweet rolls in her mouth at the same time. Because Fargrim has challenged her, saying that she couldn't do it.
Holly's just got one sweet roll in front of her that she's taking out and laughing while she watches.
Like how we know exactly what's happening. So
It's exactly the same as a drinking contest, just with cinnamon rolls.
Each part of this party is having a no moment. And as you're getting that feeling, you you suddenly you see blackness, and then you see like a shape turn around, and it's saying it says go away, these people hurt me, and it's saying go away, and then it stops, and then it it kind of reaches towards you, and it says child of the water, and then he is just like, I changed my mind, find me, and disappears, and you're suddenly released, and that is the end of the session.
Fuck! I'm simultaneously excited and terrified.
Well then.
So wait, okay, so I saw him as a dark figure and everything. Did I see like any form of detail of him whatsoever?
Just the eyes.
Just the eyes. Cool. Still just the pale eyes.
Mhm. Roll perception. We will see if maybe you have if you picked up anything else.
Bitch, yes I did. I rolled a 17 and I have a +6 to perception, so.
It's a very what you saw was a very thin figure, and like you couldn't, because it was just a shape, you couldn't really see much of a hair, so it had to be short, but like there is the eyes, and then the edges of the ears were ridged. They weren't pointed, but they were unusual, something very familiar, it was just like, this is something that you have definitely seen in your own goddamn reflection.
I'm so excited about this. Okay.
And so yeah, that's the end of it, guys. Fun. Anywho, that's
ominous.
Yeah, I'm sorry Holly didn't get to do much.
It's okay.
Still love you.
There's always next time.
Yes.
Yes. Which we will try to make eventually soon. We just need to be able to match up schedules.
I have no plans for the rest of the weekend.
I am also
weekend.
Yeah. Let's not discuss it at the moment. We will, because we don't want to make any guarantees, and we don't want to, for people, the more people who start listening, we don't want to make it seem. So we will eventually get an actual schedule, but like I said, this is just a for fun thing. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I'm sorry for our crazy party. This is pretty much how I thought it was going to go. And to be continued in the next episode. Bye.